VersTEAv206.
Hello, hashtag VersTEAv family, and welcome. It's week 208. I'm Aaron Mack. I'm here with my good friend Kevin, aka Basic Complexity, who is off camera at the moment, but he'll be right back in just a second to say hi to everybody. But I'll go ahead and get started with our what makes okay. So as far as the number 8, we'll do this a little bit differently going forward. So, when you search in the little sometimes a post will be like, type the first 3 letters in the alphabet and tell me whatever comes up. It's like, oh, okay, and that'll be cute, like as far as your phone's typing thing. And what I do is I typed the number 8 in my Google search, and what came up for it was 80 for Brady, which is a new movie. It looks funny. And the movie 8 Mile, of course, right? So, yay, cool. So, my older song is a little bit older than I typically do, but it's not too old because it's just a couple of years before I was born. But brought from the Broadway musical Sophisticated Lady with my love, and I love me some, her, Phyllis Hyman, her song from Sophisticated Ladies called Take the A Train, Phyllis Hyman and Hinton Battle. Oh my gosh, they sing. Oh my gosh, they sing. Oh my gosh, they sing. Yes, like Phyllis Hyman, her voice is so just outstanding, honestly. Like the things that she's able to produce with her voice, the range of vocals. And since it looks like we have a second, I will say that I kind of I feel badly when it comes to people who are before their time and what they have to go through and what it could be depending on how they receive it, right? Like Phyllis Hyman, it's my understanding, she was struggling, working, struggling, pushing to make it for years, like with her outstanding voice. And I'm a Whitney Houston stan, you know, and she had been before Whitney Houston. And it's just unfortunate because I could imagine because Phyllis Hyman, I think, is like 10 years older than Whitney. I think Phyllis, no, actually, she's more than that. Phyllis Hyman is 49, baby, I think. Whitney Houston is 63, of course, 10 years younger than my mom, 20 years older than me. And, but Phyllis Hyman, like, I could imagine seeing a young, spry Whitney Houston like taking over the charts, be like, that was supposed to be me, and I feel for like even certain other artists that I know of who were perhaps before their time and didn't get their just deserves. It's unfortunate, you know, as I approach 40, right? But it's a thing. It's a thing. And nevertheless, Phyllis Hyman's "Take the A Train" from Sophisticated Ladies is outstanding. Basic Complexity, what do you have for the new song, my
Okay, so for my new song, actually, has the song titled About Damn Time by Lizzo. And I adore Lizzo because I've definitely become a fan. And the song, I believe, was the lead single from her 2022 album, titled Special. And I think it's just real chill album that you could just play while doing your spring cleaning.
So
So
you've listened to that whole album?
yes.
Nice. Okay. I love you know, it's so funny you mentioned that song because I was just talking with a friend of mine about that song recently. And I actually really like that song. It's about damn time. In a minute, I'm gonna need a sentimental something about that. Anyway, but yeah, it's cool. And it's interesting listening to that song. And I've seen her in interviews before, and she's talked about how she actually like grew up singing in the choir, but like that's an old school thing that you don't really hear people talk about nowadays. But
Right.
how she grew up singing in the choir and stuff. Like Lizzo sings her butt off. Like
Yes.
she has to make pop music, and pop music will only let you sing but so much nowadays. But she sings her butt off, even in that little piece. She sings her butt off. And in that song, like I was listening, I was like, oh my, she is hollering. Okay. Anyway, whatever. I'm sorry. All right. So I will say that we will go into the song topics for, well, not the song topics, but the show titles for the show titles for the week. And they are hashtag race free, hashtag ChoiceLife, hashtag xenophobia confused, hashtag ShareHumanity. All right, basic complexity. Are you ready to get this show on the road, my friend?
Yep.
Hashtag race free at death not ant. Hashtag VersTEAv206.
There's been a lot of ongoing debate and discussion about where Bad Bunny fits in racially after a Time magazine article where he seemed to avoid the subject of race. The subject of race in Latin America has always been interesting. Spanish had an entire hierarchical system where based on who your parents were, that's what you would be considered. And of course that came with its own socioeconomic benefits or lack thereof. And of course that racial hierarchy came with its own set of issues like blancamiento and mejorar la raza, the concept that was put on black and brown people to brighten or whiten their race to make it better. But the avoidance of race is not by accident. It's actually by design, at least in the case of Puerto Rico. The governor of Puerto Rico, Luis Muñoz Marin, saw the island as a mixed-race society, without the same racial issues as mainland United States, and would often use the idea of a racial utopia as selling points to lure U.S. investors.
The people of Puerto Rico are perhaps one of the clearest symbols of this absence of prejudice or of false pride or of false hatreds of some human beings as against other human beings.
Him and his government believed race did not matter so much that they even petitioned and got permission from the federal government to conduct their own census. It was called El Censo Criollo, and it completely eliminated the questions on race. And for 50 years, this was the status quo in the census. And it wasn't until the year 2000 when they reintroduced the federal form that included the questions about race.
Okay. So I will say that, first of all, I'll set a timer, right? First of all, the brother is fine, and he is Boricua, and I think it's so cool how when it comes to Puerto Ricans, I noticed like they represent the flag, their flag, the Puerto Rican flag, a whole lot, and I connected with Nigerians because also, and this is all love coming from me, but I noticed like also when you go to like a Nigerian person's profile, they will also almost always have the Nigerian flag in their profile. And I was talking with a special African connection of mine, special, about that, and he's like, "Well, you Americans do it too. Y'all put the American flag on everything." And maybe I'm just conditioned to not, well, not conditioned, but just so accustomed to it. I don't know. But as far as what he was talking about, I remember years ago a co-worker of mine who is a very light, white-skinned Puerto Rican, right? And I had another coworker who is a light brown-skinned woman from Panama, and she said to him, she's like, "Wow, if you lived in my country, you'd be a white man." And I just remember he was so taken aback and so like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." And he was like, "I'm glad I'm from Puerto Rico and we don't have that kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, you probably just feel that way because you don't see it." But then in interactions with other Puerto Ricans over the years, I've noticed, well, that's a kind of common thing. Like even when I would work in the department where we get demographic information from people. And when I would speak with the Puerto Ricans, I remember this one Puerto Rican woman, like we asked, are you white, Caucasian, Black, African American, Asian, or other? And she'd be like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." And I think ultimately she went with other. And it's just interesting how people, because Hispanic is not a race. And that's something that's sort of complicated for people to grasp. I will say, oh my gosh, I know um, part of Puerto Rico also, it's my understanding their thing is their families can be of many different complexions, all in the same family. And it's like we have that same stuff here in America too. It's like, but we don't acknowledge it because, like, even Roseanne, when she was, I'll finish in my 1 minute. Well, hopefully, basic complexity.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to touch on what you just said with families being different complexions. Yeah, my family is just like that. Because my sister is definitely like smooth dark chocolate, and like if you look at her and you look at me, people wouldn't think we're related based off of looks alone. But yeah. So all right, after hearing this, I was slightly surprised. Because I did not think that Puerto Rico um, experienced problems with race or skin tone. Yes, I know, naive me, but yeah. Okay, well, I learned something. Um, I learned something. A is what? I'm sorry. Um. So, well, I don't know what my wording. Um. Oh, okay, that's what I was saying. Basically, I was like, okay, I learned something new today. And that's just me. I can, I am fully aware that apparently skin tone is a global global issue. Yeah. Although it really should not be. And that's what I've
All right, I'll take my 1 minute and try to burn through this. So, as I was saying, people in America, we also have often, not always, but often, can have families of different complexions. For example, like even I am like I was thinking, kind of assuming that I'm halfway between my mom and my dad because I'm like, well, genetics, but I'm actually darker than both my mom and my dad. It is what it is. And as far as I remember, not too long ago, well, years ago at this point, I saw when Roseanne was running for president, she was asked about her position on Black Lives Matter. And Roseanne's answer was, quite frankly, they do. And I'm really concerned about where things are right now because I have Black men in my family. And I'm like, yes, I know that's right, Roseanne. You better talk about it. Anyway, because we've all got mixtures. And the system likes dividing people. And it's almost like that divisions from slave time still works. And, oh, okay, well, maybe later. But I'll say my one sentence, and I will say in, well, my close up statement that I ask, what can we learn from Puerto Rico about the whole race situation? I think Ida Rodriguez is amazing. I was watching some of her stuff, and she's also Puerto Rican. And I think that we can learn something from that genius of Governor Luis Munoz Marin, in my honest opinion. His complexity, your 1 minute.
okay. Was getting myself set up. All right, so there we go. And okay, I personally think that whatever a person chooses I don't even know if that was supposed to be for A.
Yeah, that sounded like B.
So,
No, I was just saying what you were about to say sounded like B.
yeah, it might be. Um, what is, so, yeah, that might be the. I might have gotten confused.
Well, did you have a 1 minute or
Um,
just anything else you wanted to say on it?
it might have been just what I said. That fully aware that apparently skin tone is a global issue, although it really should not be.
Okay. And let me also, before we move on, shout out the Code Switch NPR podcast. They did a special on Puerto Rico and this whole situation, and it was very enlightening. Anyway, all right, basic complexity, are you ready for our next one?
Right. B.
Chelsea Handler.
Hashtag ChoiceLife at Chelsea Handler. Hashtag VersTEAv206
45% of working women ages 25 to 45 by 2030 will be non-married, no kids, single.
I'll tell you what's wrong with that. Nothing. I usually don't do things like this, but when I have to listen to men talk like that, I have no choice but to sedate myself with drugs and alcohol. Lately, I've been loud and proud about my status as a single, unmarried, childless, wild woman. And apparently some men cannot handle that. Every time I go on Instagram, I stumble upon SDE morons like this guy pontificating about how unhappy women like me must be.
If you think that you're going to be 45 years old, no kids, not married, and that you're going to genuinely be fulfilled in life because you made money, best of luck to you, honey.
Right.
No, best of luck to you, honey. I'm sorry, but if the child-free joyride I'm on triggers you, here's a hint. If you need daily alpha content to remind you to be alpha, you might not be an alpha. Take it from an alpha. And the truth is, studies show that single women live longer and are happier. You want to know why? Because they wake up every day and they don't have to listen to dipshits like you. Anyway, I have to go because my single, unmarried is about to perform at my sold-out comedy show. I'd invite you, but there are no tickets left. Bye.
All right. And yes, okay, so I'm first for the first two, and you're first for the, wait a minute.
Yeah. We
No, I'm
alternate.
first for A and C, so you're first for this one.
Yes.
You got it.
All right. After hearing her talk, I can honestly say that she is living her best life. I nor anyone else has the right to tell someone how to live their own life. She is doing good for herself, and that is all that really matters. That's what I've.
All right. You coincidentally did it in 1 minute, but I forgot to start it as a 3 minute. Anyway, so I will say, and with that being said, did you have anything else to say or were you finished?
I'm done.
Okay, so I will say, there we go. My initial reaction is equal with my connection, in that I say people should be able to want whatever they want. And I personally want my life partner, my male life partner, and to raise a family with him and all of that. I guess that's kind of a more traditionalist part of me or whatever. It is what it is. I will say though, just this past weekend, I spoke with a friend of mine about how society does not treat disabled and senior citizens well. They don't.
No.
And I it seemed like he was about to ask me, "Oh, so you want a partner? So they'll just be there, just take care of you." And I was like, "Well, no, blah blah blah," and he was like, "No, that's not what I'm saying." But ultimately, I say, and I leave it at this, in the words of Pebbles, back in the early '90s, late '80s, late '80s. Love makes things happen, and that's just true. And number one, free. hmm, Yeah, no one is free until we're all free. Free to do whatever we want in life, be it singlehood, be it marriage, be it finding the wrong address mistakenly at a house and not wanting to get shot in the face. But that's another story. Sorry, yes, I went there. And we should all be free to live. And no one's free until we're all free. But in the words of Donny Hathaway, one day we'll all be free. And maybe the movement people being less traditional is will will provide balance to the whole thing, and I guess that's good because some people want marriages, some people don't, and we should see everything as people living their lives and allow people to live their lives. Thank you. And also, oh yeah, I also wanted to shout out when she said pontificate, because I remember my friend years ago, back when I was in college, he taught me that word because he was talking about somebody. He was like, and they had the audacity to pontificate. And I'm like, yes, pontificate. Let me go to the dictionary. Anyway, but yeah, so that's just about it. Basic complexity. Okay, you went first. You're one square.
Alright, alright, there we go. She has basically plotted her own path through her own life. And that's what I've.
And I will say, just to reiterate, I've got to stress it. I think everybody should be able to do whatever they want. I guess it's the little piece of libertarian in me. As long as you're not hurting somebody else, you should be able to do it. And
Yeah.
hurting or harming, because there's a slight difference. There's a distinction with a slight difference. I'll also say though that I want marriage. That's what I want for myself. That's me. Me, myself, and I want marriage. Anyway, okay. Yeah, yeah. I personally want a partner, but everybody can do whatever they want to. Anyway, my one sentence is just like Donny Hathaway is saying, one day we'll all be free. One day we'll all be free. Basic complexity? Actually, no. Well, if you have anything else to say, but are you ready to move on to our next one?
Yeah.
And here we go. Share, subscribe, and share again. Thank you. Share with a friend. All right.
Hashtag xenophobia confused. At Taha likes you. Hashtag VersTEAv206.
I'm so glad we're finally doing something about drag. Thank you. There is literally nothing more harmful for our children and our society than people wearing big wigs and lip syncing to Britney Spears. It is sick. Amen. Or as they would say, a woman. I know. Anyways, are you coming to our family event? We're going to see my sister's pageant. I'm so excited. She's 6 turning 7, right? Yes, she is so adorable. We're actually super excited. They're going to oversize every single child on that stage and then pit them against each other to decide who is worth the most. Ugh, that is amazing. I mean, everyone knows that the real child predators are the adults who express themselves on stage and not the ones running and attending staged events where little children are oversized and dressed up like adults in revealing clothing and makeup and made to dance for the audience, after which the little girls all compete for a crown. Exactly. Ugh, this is such a normal use of everyone's time.
I must say, my initial reaction is it is hilarious, his delivery, where he was like, and the kids will get on stage and all compete to see who is worth the most. And it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Taha likes you. Anyway, but yes. So my initial reaction is similar to my connection, or in line with my connection, and that this is a fresh perspective for me on things. And I'll also say that some kids love to perform. So that's just true. Some kids love to perform, and that's different from parents being like, get out there and make that money so we can pay our bills. You know, like there's a difference there, a distinction with a difference. Some kids love to perform, but don't push the kids. If they don't want to perform, don't push them to perform. And I think about myself, you know, back in school, I used to love singing in the choir and singing, and I loved being in the marching band. And I think it's good that my family encouraged my creative expression, and I think encouraging creative expression in kids is a good thing. And but again, don't push them beyond. Encourage them. Don't see. And this is where I said I get a little divided, because it's like, it's right. Pushing the kids can teach them discipline, which can be a good thing, but it could also teach them resentment for you and resentment in general. So that's I raising a child is not easy. I think ultimately the main thing is that you need to make sure that they know love, that they know that they are loved, that they know that you love them. I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, also as yeah, child should know how to love things. Right. And you should teach the child how to love. And for people giving all of that hate to drag performances, you're not teaching the child love. You're teaching them how to get angry and ridiculous, unreasonably so, about things. That's not teaching them love. Teach them love. Teach the child love. And yeah, you're hating on drag queens. That's unproductive. Boom. Here's the complexity.
Okay, this is exactly where little kids, specifically little girls, are over sexualized. I noticed this issue years ago, when little Dominic Ramsey was killed. And I do remember seeing that clip from a pageant she was in, and I thought to myself that it was just a step a little too far. Um, in my personal opinion, for someone of that age. That's what I.
You know, I forgot about the John Benet Ramsey case, and I forgot that she was actually killed. Did they find out a resolution for that situation at all? I remember seeing her face all over the news, face full of makeup, but
Right.
I don't remember them finding a resolution for it.
I don't think they ever did.
Okay. Yeah, and that's perhaps the worst of the worst examples of children being pushed into performance. Like I said, though, in the case, no, though, at all, new statement. In the case of kids that love to perform, I think it's a beautiful thing. But as far as pushing them out there and apparently pushing them out there to the point of death, that's problematic. Anyway, my one sentence is raising a child can be complicated. Show them love and show them that you live love, not hate. Show them love and what it's all about. Yeah, I think that's a totally different song. Anyway, basic complexity, you're 1 and 1, 1 squared.
Alright. Basically, so just let kids be kids. And stop using them as or stop using them to fulfill some adults' wants or wishes from their own childhood. That's what I've.
Can I take a really quick second just to say, you reminded me of our friends at Fuck Your Couch, and Sebek was talking about they were having an open mic competition somewhere, and Sebek was like, yeah, you know, this is going to be a chill, laid back event. Like, we don't need you singing up there, singing like you missed your calling. and that was pretty hilarious to me, singing like you missed your calling. And those are some of the parents who can be bad for such kids, because like they missed their calling, so they're gonna be like, I want you to be a star because I wanted to be a star. Anyway, we can't be talking about that. Anyway, are you ready for the next topic?
Okay.
And you are first here, my friend.
That's right.
Hashtag ShareHumanity at Ms. Tina Lawson. Hashtag VersTEAv206. She writes, speak the truth, sir. Why can't we get the gun laws changed? If every black person in America brought a gun, watch how fast the gun laws would change. Absolutely with the quickness. It's just the truth, Ruth.
Morning. He has something he wants to say about school shootings. Here is his extra point.
Another high school shooting yesterday, this one in Florida, 17 dead, the last report I saw. And everybody sends their thoughts and prayers again because that works so well. This is the 18th high school shooting in America this year, and we have 10 and a half months to go. We've had 290 since 2013. We average about one a week, but there's just nothing we can do. If it was a Muslim or a Mexican doing the shooting, how many new laws and how much money would we spend then to stop the madness? But since it's almost always a white kid, there's just nothing we can do. America has 5% of the world's population and yet 31% of the world's mass shootings. We're worried about people coming to this country. They should be worried about us going to theirs. Australia had 4 mass shootings between 87 and 96. They passed stricter gun laws and haven't had a single mass shooting since. And here I thought, guns don't kill, people do. Is this the people we are? Last time I said we need to find a way to stop a nut with a gun, and that's all I said. I get an email saying, I'm saving my last bullet to put it right between your eyes. Just another responsible gun owner in America, and I'm taking all bets he's a white guy. So there's just nothing we can do. I'm Dale Hansen. It's getting harder to enjoy the day.
He said it's getting harder to enjoy the day. Basic complexity.
Yeah, after hearing this, I get completely frustrated. Before the assault weapons ban in the late 90s, before it elapsed, or expired, I'm sorry. We didn't have mass shootings. I'm sorry, they have mass shootings. At that point, we didn't have any mass shootings, unless I'm forgetting some. I personally feel that the assault weapons ban needs to be reinstated, pretty much. But unfortunately, the large amount of politicians, mainly Republicans, sorry, but it is what it is, mainly Republicans, act as if nothing can be done. Or suggest arming teachers, which I think is incredibly stupid. Which, in my opinion, is a horrible idea, pretty much. That's what happened.
So, how many people have to die? How many? And this whole situation brings a tear to my eyes, and it's a really sad fact. And Ms. Tina Knowles, Ms. Tina Lawson, is so on point, especially with what she said about if Black people owned guns. It's like, and that also connects with what I heard a guy say on Instagram before. He's like, if all Black people got life insurance, unjustified extrajudicial killings would basically be non-existent, because insurance companies will fight tooth and nail to make sure that they don't have to pay for somebody's wrongful death. So, yeah. Anyway, as far as, I was thinking about the fact that the people who want the guns the most, at least so it seems, are the people who are like the most patriotic. But the reason that they want the guns so much is because they're like, well, if we need something to, I need something to protect my family against a tyrannical government. And it's like, do you trust your country so little that that is your biggest concern? That you fear a tyrannical government? Oy. And it's like ironic that you have no trust for our beloved country that you love so much, but you're like, I fear a tyrannical government. Mhm. And I don't know why guns are the tail that wag the dog of our country. I do know that money makes things happen. It's true. And
Mhm.
I say follow the money. That's a thing. But are they the top? Are gun manufacturers the top? Maybe. But can we find something else to be on the top? Something else to fatten the pockets of the politicians?
Mhm.
And maybe allow, and this is my thinking in terms of a solution, maybe allow gun manufacturers to become something else and we promote that something else. Just like in colonial days, the fact that we eat 3 square meals a day, that's our thing, that comes from colonialism because colonialists saw the, I'll take it for my 1 minute because I want to say it correctly. Base complexity, your 1 and 1.
Uh, basically, let's, in general, let's get back to where we were in the 90s. And remove these weapons of war from the hands of civilians, pretty much. And that's what I.
And for my 1 minute, I will say, as far as the hands of civilians, doing a mass shooting is a almost guaranteed way to get your 15 minutes of fame because we are so, I don't know how to handle it. But somebody doing a mass shooting, they'll be famous and they're like, oh wow, until they go to jail and die, but or kill themselves. But anyway, as far as us promoting something new for the gun manufacturers to make their money, because it's all about the money,
Of course.
I say it connects to the colonists who, when they went to Africa, mainly, they saw that the way Africans eat was just you eat when you get hungry. And they were like, no, that's like an animal. So we have to change that. We're going to promote eating 3 times a day. And years later, we still feel the need to eat 3 times a day and get fatter and fatter and fatter. Anyway, but my one sentence is let's find a way for those big wigs to make money without deaths. Motivation is not for death per se. Their motivation is not for death per se, it's for the money. And I love Miss Tina Knowles, Miss Tina Lawson. She is outstanding. Yes. Miss Complexity, you just did your 1 and 1, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are at the close, right on time. And I will, we can do it like that. Do it like this, do it like that. Anyway, but I'm Aaron Mack. This has been hashtag VersTEAv206 week 208. And you can find me, Aaron Mack, at VersTEAv206.com. That's AARONMCK at BersTEAv.com. And you can find hashtag VersTEAv all over social media. We are all over social media. It's like a blanket of hashtag VersTEAv. You search hashtag VersTEAv, we're coming up. Pow. Basic Complexity, where can we find you on Instagram, TikTok, and VersTEAv? And your TikTok is My Basic Complexity. Basic Complexity, where can we find you?
Wow, you just said it. Oh.
I did.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, your email is basiccomplexity@VersTEAv.com. And everything else, your Instagram is Basic Complexity. Your TikTok is My Basic Complexity. All right, so I will turn off the YouTube. This is being silly. Da 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 dee dee dum dum stupid da 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 da. I'm gonna turn off YouTube. And we'll see you later, YouTube. Bye-bye. I remember at work years ago, a woman, like somebody came in and she was excited to see them and she was like, hi. And I'm like, oh, I love that as a way to wave. That is so feminine, so fish. Hi. Anyway, I know, I'm ridiculous. But